The two big stories over the weekend were the Schofield-Willoughby spat and the emerging story about the Home Secretary. But we could put the two stories together, and I think it's quite interesting if we do. I think there's more important stories which are lurking around, but we can't really deal with them until they emerge on the news. I want to look at the Turkish elections, which I think is very important. I'd quite like to look at the Greek elections, and I think it's important to look at some of the issues which are coming out in those elections, and I'll deal with those over the next few days. I also want to look very much at the Bakhmut situation and the fact that clearly Ukraine is moving to encircle Bakhmut and to trap the Wagner Brigade inside. But Philip Schofield, when you look at when you looked at this morning on ITV, it was extraordinary. Lorraine Kelly gave a sort of apology for a handover, and then we went to Dermot O'Leary and Alison Hammond. I think I called her Alistair Hammond earlier. I'm so sorry. I was confusing her with that. I was accusing her with that other paragon of journalistic incision, Alistair Campbell, perhaps the man with the bagpipes and Rory Stewart, funded by Gary Lineker. But it's so easy to confuse two solar journalists, isn't it? However, the beginning of this morning, very, very speedy, credits changed, and O'Leary comes out with a hello and welcome to Mondays this morning. And then they started on what effectively was a eulogy. It was as if Philip Schofield had died. The man who spent the last 2 decades sitting on this morning's sofa, Philip Schofield. So as a show, everyone on and off screen at ITV in this morning want to say a huge thank you to Phil for what he has done to make the show with such a success over the last 21 years. It was extraordinary and slightly eerie. Now, if you consider what's happening to Suella Braverman, she's in pretty well the same position that Philip Schofield was in last week. I think she's in a more invidious position. I think she's in a very difficult position, actually. Has she broken the ministerial code? There is one get-out clause for her, and that is that she may have a security implication, a security issue behind which she could hide. I think that's about, I think it's tenuous, and I think it's only possible if the Prime Minister grants her that as a favour. In other words, this could well be that warning shot across the bows. Where did this story leak from? Because it's been there for a year and no one knew anything about it. So it has come directly from somewhere quite high up. I don't think it's a civil service story. I think this is something that was planted by the Whip's office or by Number 10 directly. It came through the Daily Mail. Nothing, except for the Conservative Party, comes through the Daily Mail. So the ministerial code, Suella Braverman has got form. She's already broken that ministerial code, or appeared to break the ministerial code. She said that she broke it. She resigned on a technical breach of the rules using her personal email address, and maybe that's true. Maybe that's true, but I think maybe it was a technical way of getting out of the line of fire as Liz Truss's premiership came to a sorry end, and 6 days later she was back in office. And the speed awareness course, could she do the speed awareness course on a one-to-one? Could she avoid paying the fine? Could she instead go to a group course? The ministerial code in Article 7.1 says that no conflict of interest should arise between public and private life, or should be perceived to arise. So as I say, there is a possibility that for a get-out clause there about security, and Braverman is confident that nothing untoward happened, but it's that use of extraordinarily evasive language, the intransitive verb, erring, sort of almost using the passive voice. It's the stuff of the playground, or the stuff of the home when a very expensive vase is damaged, like sort of, like, do you remember that wonderful scene in the glass, where in the glass factory, in the glass showroom in James Bond in Moonraker, with the extremely expensive vase, which was eventually broken, of course. Well, did you break the vase? Oh, it's been broken. We get very close to that tone of language. And Starmer has called for an investigation. And I'm sure an investigation will take place. Suella Braverman will then have to have an opportunity to put her case. I think if Suella Braverman wanted to do something decent, she's already seen how damaging the Phillip Schofield thing has been. She should get out now. If Phillip Schofield had got out a week ago, he would have been fine now. It's the hanging on which is the problem. Go now, Suella. Do everybody a favour.